What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday. Jake Waxman, Tom Lavalette, two guys talk sports. Let's rock and roll. To top things off, all right, sports fans, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Michigan kicked Purdue's butt last night. Watching that, I won't say I watched the game. I was hanging out with some family and some of their friends. I was in Indiana. I've just gotten back today. And I kept up with the game, and keeping up with the score, it did not look good. And sure enough, watched the highlights earlier today of the Purdue-Michigan game, and it was not good, to say the least. Granted, the score is a deception. Michigan owned that game. It was Michigan's game from start to finish. Michigan controlled the pace of the game. So a few things going through my mind. Purdue, they got their work cut out for them going forward to finish the season strong. Because if you're Purdue, well, you're officially out of the Big Ten title race. I mean, you needed to beat Michigan to have any kind of chance, and Purdue did not get it done. So they didn't. They got their butts whipped. They got belt to the butt, as some people will say. And unfortunately, Purdue's shot at winning a Big Ten title is gone up in smoke. It's over. So if you're Purdue, you're just focusing on trying to get the best seeding possible for the NCAA tournament. I think right now Purdue would be a 3 seed, but if they can finish the season strong, they might just get a 2 seed. We'll find out, because they did play a very tough schedule this year. So that's one thing going through my mind. And the other thing is, look, I won't sugarcoat it. This Michigan team, they are great. It's not just Yexa Lindenborg. All this is Dusty May's work, all right? And Dusty May has done a great job putting together an athletic and very will-imposing roster. Like, once that Michigan gets rolling in it each and every game that they had this season, they don't let up. They just keep going. And Michigan right now, they're not just, everyone's talking about earlier, Michigan should be the number 1 team. I kind of held judgment there because I was like, all right, let's see if they can keep this up the rest of the season. But as the season is going on, finally I'll confess, all right, this Michigan team is probably the best team in the nation right now, without question. They're not just they're going to win the Big Ten. I believe so, but it's not just that. I think Michigan right now is the favorite to win the national championship. Right now, their front court is nasty, and Dusty May has done a great job, especially just people forget Michigan. The year Purdue went to the Final Four was the last year that Juwan Howard was the coach of Michigan, and Michigan was just in shambles. Like, they only had, I think, 1 win against like top 10 opponents in the Juwan Howard years, and then they've hired Dusty May, and they got so many of those top 10 wins now, and boom. In just 2 seasons, Dusty May has that Michigan Wolverines team back to the way that they were when John Beilein was coaching the Michigan Wolverines. But right now, he's assembled a roster that can win a national championship, and right now, Michigan looks like the favorite to win the national championship. They're that good. Michigan State found that out, and now Purdue found that out at Mackey Arena. And I will say this was not Purdue's best game. They were going to need to have the perfect game at Michigan to be off that night to have any kind of chance to win. Neither of those two things happened. Michigan was 100% on fire the whole game, and Purdue, they got off to a great start in that game, but they went cold at the worst possible time in the first half, and that was all Michigan needed to take the lead in the game and just run away with it, never look back. Once Michigan took the lead, when Purdue got into that cold streak in the first half, the game was over at that point. Michigan was going to win. I kind of knew we're not going to come back and win this game. We might make it close, which Purdue made it a little more interesting in the end. The final score was, I believe, 91-80. And 80 points is not all that bad from your offense. The problem is you got to stop that Michigan offense, which just can put up ridiculous numbers of points and also ridiculous numbers of stats on offense. And that defense, too, imposed its will on Purdue. So, Purdue needed to have the perfect game. plus Michigan not having their best night, and neither of those two things happened. And if you're Purdue, it's back to the drawing board. And honestly, for a lot of Purdue fans, this has been a disappointing season. Really a disappointing season. After bringing in guys like Oscar Clough and Obermeyer, and a few other pieces, a lot of fans were expecting this Purdue team to be a national championship contender. Not just a Final Four contender, but a national championship contender. Right now, I just hope we make it to the second weekend of the NCAA. I just hope we win. Actually, I just hope we win a game in the NCAA tournament and don't get upset in the first round. I mean, I'm just being brutally honest. I think this Purdue team can get to the second weekend, maybe the Elite Eight. Final Four might take some luck. That's going to take some luck there. But this Purdue team, Michigan right now is a favorite to win the national championship, and Purdue, they are not a national championship contender. They're just not. Sometimes it's just how it is. Despite being preseason number one. Hey, you know what? That means dilly squat. Being preseason number one does not earn you a championship. You got to keep rolling with. And Purdue, here's the thing. The big mark on the season for Purdue, they've had not one, not two, but three losses to top 10 teams at Mackey Arena. And aside from that, Purdue hardly loses at Mackey Arena. They don't lose very often at Mackey Arena. But this season, they have lost 3 home games. That's, for a team that's looking to contend for a national championship, that's not good enough. And this Purdue team, look, whatever they do, whatever happens, regardless of whatever happens this season, whether Purdue makes a Final Four or not, or they get knocked out in the first round, per se, regardless of what happens to Purdue for the rest of regardless of how they finish this season and how they do in the NCAA tournament, changes need to be made for the Boilermakers. Like Matt Painter, I don't think he should be fired. I think I'm good with him still being the head coach at Purdue, but he's got to change up his recruiting tactics, and he needs to be focused on bringing in more players that have athleticism, because it's athleticism that is killing Purdue. And this season alone, whether it's from three-pointers or inside or on the glass, rebounding the basketball, whether it's three-pointers or rebounding the basketball, athleticism has been constantly killing the Purdue Boilermakers. Iowa State and Illinois and Michigan, they all had athletes. And these athletes, they picked Purdue apart with their athleticism from three and on the glass. And even in the full court press or half court press, whatever you want to say. But Matt Painter needs to focus on recruiting more athletes going into the future. I'm looking forward to seeing what this new crop of Purdue rookies has coming in. You got guys like Luke Ertl, who I'm really looking forward to. I just hope they're athletic. And then, granted, Purdue did bring in a guy in the transfer portal. He played for Princeton last year. One Caden Pierce by name. He'll be playing for Purdue next season at wing, and that's going to help a lot because Purdue, I think, needed to bring in a wing through the portal, and they've done that. But can't stop there. I've got to bring in some more athleticism from the portal, whether it's another winger or even an athletic center who can shoot threes. Three-point shooting needs to just a couple things. So, and, Purdue, 2 critical games upcoming. They got Indiana on Friday, and then they got Michigan State, I believe, on Tuesday. So, a lot of work for Purdue to do. Got to focus up on the next games. Put this one behind you and focus on finishing the season strong and getting the best seeding possible, okay? Big Ten title out of the picture, all right? The focus now is got to be on March. Build the momentum for March. And take what you can learn from this loss and then burn the tape. Say what you will. So, a couple takeaways I have right now. Michigan looks like the favorite to win the national championship. Purdue is hoping to do some damage in March Madness. But we'll see. We'll see how far they go. Depends on the matchups they get in the NCAA tournament. Just the way it is. All right, shifting gear. One sport I don't talk a lot about, whether it's Olympics or not, is bobsled. I love watching the bobsled in the Olympics, whether it's men's or women's. The United States, okay, they very rarely win medals in these kind of events, especially the bobsled events. But how about this? Man, I was so stoked about this, and I watched the replay. The United States, Team USA won a gold and the bronze in the women's solo bobsled. First and foremost, let me start this off. Got to give a huge congrats to Ilana Myers-Taylor. And forgive me if I've mispronounced her name. So Myers-Taylor, congrats to her on winning gold. That was a really impressive run. And congrats to Kaylee Humphreys, a legend in Olympic bobsled, who took the bronze. And this was Ilana Myers-Taylor's 5th Olympic Games. People who do bobsled, they go to a lot of Olympic Games. But for most Olympians, the average is like 2 to 3 Olympic Games. But people who take part in sports like bobsled, they can go on long. They can compete in much longer and can be in about 5 Olympic Games. This is the case with some of these veterans on the U.S. women's bobsled program. But I tell you what, Germany's been dominating events like luge and skeleton. So for the U.S. to go and upset Germany in bobsled, it makes me stoked, to say the least, for lack of better words. Like, I was hoping we would win a gold medal in any of the bobsled events because I love watching the bobsled, and for the Team USA to come away with gold and bronze in the women's solos. Good job, ladies. That has to feel really, really good. And those were 2 impressive runs by Myers-Taylor and, of course, Humphreys. 2 really impressive runs. They kept it together. I mean, you got bobsleds just sliding along the track, some almost spinning out like this. But our ladies, they did a really great job keeping it all together, keeping it on the preferred line, too, and able to cut down the time even when they got loose. It was amazing to watch. So, honestly, like I said, love watching the bobsled. I had high hopes that we could win a gold medal, and we've done that. And there's still more to come for the bobsled. Hopefully, whether it's the women's or the men's 2s or 4s, I'm hoping for more, But if you're a U.S. bobsled fan, this is the Olympics for you. Bobsled to me is all the fun in the world to watch, but when your team is doing really, really well, or when your country is doing really, really well in one of your favorite sports, makes it all the more fun and all the more of a joy to watch. So once more, congrats to Ilana Myers-Taylor on her gold medal. And by the way, seeing her break down in tears and acknowledging her family was a beautiful sight. That's what the Olympics is all about. And same with Kaylee Humphreys, who was hugging one of her kids, I believe. But congrats to both Myers-Taylor and, of course, Kaylee Humphreys. Congratulations on your great runs in women's single bobsled, and great job representing the United States. USA, USA, USA. Love it. And finally, great moments are born from great opportunity. And going into tomorrow, that's what the U.S. women's hockey team has earned tomorrow. That famous quote by Herb Brooks, it always resonates. Every time I think of Team USA hockey, I think of that quote. And tomorrow, the U.S. women's hockey team has a great opportunity that they have earned. And of course, for the seventh time since women's hockey was added to the Winter Olympic Games, it's the United States and it's Canada for the gold medal. Of course, the team that falls short in this game will still get a silver medal, while the winner gets the gold medal, of course. Honestly, neither one of these teams wants gold. Nobody wants gold Nobody wants silver in this game. Nobody cares about silver. Neither of these two teams, they don't care about the silver. They want to be first place. They want to win the gold. That's the focus. And you know what? For Team USA, that's the goal. Gold. Going for gold. And this U.S. team, they've played all Olympics long. They've played like they have been going for gold, averaging 5 goals a game. But now, as great as this team, for as great as this U.S. women's hockey team has been, they face their final test and their toughest test yet, because they're going up against a. Now they played Team Canada earlier and beat them 5-0, but things can change even in the course of a few days. And I have no doubt. I don't expect this game to be that. I don't expect that kind of result tomorrow. I expect this to be a really close game. So a couple keys to the game. So for the U.S., the U.S. has done really all that well this hockey season or this Olympic season because they have had a great mix of veterans and the young guns have been stepping up, scoring plenty of goals. I mean, you got girls like Kendall Coyne Schofield, who's been really, really good. Hillary Knight has been doing absolutely fantastic. And, of course, the goaltending for Team USA. Ava McNaughton, she has been absolutely fantastic in that. She's been an absolute rock. Ava McNaughton has been an absolute rock in net. So there's that. And then you got a nice infusion of young players too. So I'll give you a couple names to throw out there. Like Layla Edwards on the defense, she's been playing really, really well. Kayla Barnes, another defenseman who's been playing absolutely strong hockey on the defense end. Kelly Ponick. That's another name I got to throw out there. And now, of course, I got to say Hannah Bilka, who has scored quite a lot of goals in this Olympics. So a good mix of young guns and veterans are the bit. And these two, you mix these two things together, and you get yourself a fantastic hockey team that can produce and that can win games, scoring plenty of goals. And that's what this U.S. women's team has done. But now they face their final test, and it won't be all that easy. Here's the thing. Team Canada, the Canadian women's hockey team, they are going to be looking to do whatever it takes to slow down the scoring machine of Team USA. They want this game to be low scoring. They want it to be a defensive battle. They're going to be relying a lot on their goaltender. So Canada, I believe that their best chance to win this game is if they keep it low scoring, like some of the previous matchups has been, especially 2018. That was a bit low scoring. So the key for the U.S. is get rubber on net. Attack the net, crash the net. Put pucks, shoot the puck. And you never know what might happen. You get pucks on net, you're going to have a good chance of scoring. And like I said, Canada, they're going to be relying heavily on that goaltender. If she has a strong game, I think Canada's going to have a great chance to win this game. If she can keep... The U.S. is, I believe, the U.S. women's hockey team, they're going to find ways to score goals. How many, we'll see. If the Canadians can keep it to, say, 2 or 3 goals, they're going to have a great chance to win this game. Now, if it gets beyond 3 goals, and if the U.S. shooters, they get hot, that could spell trouble for the Canadians. Because they want this to be low scoring. Because they got, not to say that they can't score goals on offense. Because the Canadians, they got plenty of firepower on offense too. But the U.S. to me has the edge when it comes to goal scoring. So the Canadians are going to do everything. For that reason, the Canadians are going to do everything they can to make this a defensive game. While the U.S. is going to look to put it away early by scoring goals. One thing that also makes me nervous, the defense is pretty solid too, and goaltending's been very good for the U.S., but goaltending for the Americans has not really been tested. And when you don't have it, they've only given up 1 goal, which is good, but also the goaltenders have not been tested. So that makes me a little bit nervous. If the Canadians can test the goaltenders for the U.S., that can spell trouble for the Americans. And this U.S. team, they've been used to scoring so many goals that they haven't really played in a close game just yet, and that could be trouble for the U.S. But with that being said, like I said, I do think this is going to be a close hockey game. And with all that being said, I think the U.S. women's hockey team comes away with the gold medal by a score of 3-2. I think it's going to be close. Canada's going to get the defensive game that they want, but the U.S. is going to put a lot. I think is going to put a lot of rubber on net. They're going to test the goaltender, and I think that will make a huge difference in this game. I've got the U.S. winning the gold 3-2. Fingers crossed. Only one way to find out how this all goes down, but golden opportunity. I remember 2018. That game went to a shootout, and the U.S. was able to find a way to win in the shootout. But I believe in this U.S. team. This is probably, a lot of people are saying, the best constructed U.S. roster for women's hockey ever. And now they've got a chance to prove it tomorrow. They got a chance to cap off what's been an incredible Olympics with a gold medal. But it won't come. It won't be easy. These Canadians will be hungry. But I believe in our women's hockey team, and I believe they can do it. Hoping for a good hockey game tomorrow, and hoping to celebrate USA style. Go USA women's hockey. All right, on to this day in sports history. And on this day, the 18th of February, 1979, the 21st running of the Daytona 500, Richard Petty wins. And this is probably one of the most famous Daytona 500s in NASCAR history and in racing history. So, Richard Petty wins the 21st Daytona 500 on this day in 1975 after race leaders Cal Yarborough and Donnie Allison collide with each other on the final lap. This was the first Daytona 500 to be broadcast from start to finish. And people, we know Richard Petty won this race, but the biggest thing that people remember from this Daytona 500, those who watched it, was the fight between Donnie Allison and Cal Yarborough. That ended up really helping NASCAR grow as a sport. Who would have thought a fight on national television would help your sport grow? But that's what happened. More eyes started watching NASCAR as a result of that fight. All right. Sports fans, that's all I got for this week's Waxon Wednesday. Me and Tyler Levelette, we'll see you for Two Guys Talk Sports Friday Roundtable this Friday. And thank you for your support. Me and Tyler, we greatly appreciate it. And this is Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports. I hope you're enjoying the Olympics, and I'll see you all on Friday.